Hi, this is Merlin, 1392 from Rockford, Michigan, and you're about to hear the 900th episode of the PodCacher Podcast.
Hey, I'm Sunny.
And I'm Sandy.
From sunny San Diego, California.
Welcome to PodCacher.
This show is packed with geocaching goodness, news, tips and tricks, and tools of the trade.
Also, interviews, geocaching events, and stories from around the world.
You can find show notes with links mentioned on the show and a lot more geocaching goodies at PodCacher.com. So with that, let's get on with the show. Hello there, and welcome to another PodCacher podcast.
We are glad you're here with us for show, wait for it, 900.
900!
March 17th, 2025.
That's right. And no matter where you are in this March, on this 900th show, hopefully you had a little time to do some geocaching with friends, family, or maybe complete strangers.
And we had a fantastic event on Saturday, celebrating our 900 shows with geocaching friends here in Mission Bay. And we'll chat more about that later in the show.
Yep. And we also went to a play at a local college, and the lead actress is the daughter of some of our friends from church. She's amazingly talented, really.
It was great.
Yep. And I'm also getting some band practice this weekend, actually, after we record this show, and because we're playing at another gig this Wednesday. Yeah.
And even with all that going on, we have a great show for you today. We're going to do some reminiscing as we look back on 900 PodCacher shows.
900 shows. And we're going to share some messages from listeners from around the globe,
as well as some ways that PodCacher has inspired people over the years.
We also have a story of a local cacher who recently visited penguins in Antarctica.
Some very cool listener-created poems and much more.
All right. First up, displaying geocaching events in the news.
Geocaching and GPS news.
All right, first up in geocaching and GPS news, we have some information about website changes that are related to events.
And here's what the release notes have to say. With today's release, we made it easier for a player to plan their event calendar by displaying the date, time, and location prominently on each event cache listing.
Nice.
And this feature is consistently applied across these pages. And the pages specifically are search results, the search map, and lists. When you have a whole bunch of caches and or events down on a search results page or a list page, under the event, you can clearly see date, time, and location. So you don't have to click into it to find those things.
That's nice.
They say this applies only to current and future events. Past events are noted with just a date, because you don't really need to know the time when the event's already passed, right? The date format follows the player's date preference. The time format follows a 12-hour clock, and non-event caches are not affected by this change.
Okay.
So we'll link to the geocaching forums where they spell out the release notes for you to check out for yourself.
PodCacher email.
First up in PodCacher email, we have some messages from listeners, and we'll share more of these throughout the show.
Yep. First, from Fossil Hunters Miami, he said, "I love your show. You've inspired me to become a better geocacher and have taught me so much over the years. I look forward to listening to your shows to and from work every week." And that comes to us from Fossil Hunters Miami.
And we also got a voicemail message from JR and Juju. Let's take a listen.
Hi, this is JR and Juju from Roswell, New Mexico. We'd like to congratulate Sunny and Sandy on 20 years of PodCacher. That is quite a feat. We are thankful for the weekly podcast and all the news and information we get from it. We do appreciate the website with its helpful links and the always helpful show notes. One of our favorites is Sunny's video on making geocache containers from Gatorade tops. We still have a few of those laying around the shop. Thank you for everything you do, and congratulations.
All right. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
And last Friday, we celebrated Pie Day with coconut cream pie.
That was tasty.
And on Saturday, we found a mystery cache to get the Pie Day souvenir.
And we certainly were able to celebrate that,
Yes.
the Pie Day souvenir. Now, you solved the puzzle, and you showed me what that puzzle was.
Yeah, it was a very interesting puzzle.
Yeah. I thought it was a mathematical thing, but because it had numbers in it, so I assumed. But
you
it
assume,
wasn't. Yeah.
you assume that it's a calculation thing, but it's not. It's
clever.
It's very clever.
Yeah.
So I solved the puzzle.
Uh-huh. And?
Who found the container, honey? He's
smug.
So smug. That's the word. He's so smug when he finds it, and I'm still looking.
I wish there was like a video camera or a drone or something that could just video how many times.
I know. And then he walks up to me all subtle, pretending that he doesn't have it, and I look down and it's in his hand. So anyway,
it brings me so much joy and entertainment.
Moving on.
I can't even tell you guys. Yeah.
What we have for you are a few pie-related dad jokes that we spotted on Facebook.
All right. So if March 14th really was Pie Day, it would never end. Get it?
That's right, because pie goes on forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, here's another one. What's wrong with the equation pi r squared? Pi r round, cake r squared.
I mean, that's a classic thing you learn in grade school, right?
I like
pi
that
r squared. Yep.
And the last one. What do you call it when someone gets a huge tattoo of pie on their face? An irrational decision.
This was great.
That was a good one.
You have to be a mathematician, sort of, to get these, right?
Yeah.
Pi is an irrational number, in case you didn't know.
They're pretty funny. All right. And next up, geocaching poetry. As you know, we have a geocaching poetry contest. Yes, you heard that right. It's going on right now. And we've received some great contributions so far. And we're going to share just a few of them right now on this show.
So we got a haiku from Joe's Bar. Off into the woods, moving sticks and rocks my goal. I sign it Joe's Bar.
Nice.
Very good. Thank you.
This next one came to us from Buffalo Bob. It's a limerick, and I really like this one. Here we go. There once was a cacher named Sonny, whose disdain for lampposts was quite funny. When approaching a cache, Sandy exclaimed with a laugh, "Look, it's an LPC, honey." That's really good.
That was very clever.
All right.
Here are some limericks from Lensequim. And yeah, they admit they still don't know how to pronounce their own name.
Yeah.
So that's how we say it. Mr. Lensequim started this one, and then Mrs. finished it. To find caches, I won't climb a tree or lift the skirt of a sad LPC. Caches top in my mind are simple to find and are where no muggles can see.
That's good.
You'd agree with that, wouldn't you, honey?
Yes. All right. Then Mrs. wrote another one for Mr. and his disdain for PTCs or pine tree caches. We don't have a lot of those in San Diego, which is...
No, we don't, thankfully.
Yeah. He's searching the pine with great care to find the geocache hidden there. Needles poking they hurt and leave sap on his shirt. So Mike left for a cache placed elsewhere.
So these are awesome. This is just a sample.
Yeah.
We would love to get more poems, and we'll talk about that in games and contests.
All right, next up we have a voicemail message from Scrabble Hounds.
Thank you, Sunny, Sandy, Sean, and Selah, for all the geocaching inspiration you have shared with your listeners over the years. I've been inspired by your podcast to attend the Going Caching mega event after listening to your show. I never would have traveled to Georgia, but after listening to your podcast, I was smitten with the Going Caching bug. What a great event it was. I enjoy listening to your podcast while on my commute to work. Stay safe and keep on caching.
All right, thanks for that there. And now we have a very kind message from Kitty Catch.
She wrote and said, I started listening to PodCacher soon after I started caching in 2012. There was so much to learn about this crazy hobby, and I really enjoyed the news, information, and banter from each show. As an Aussie cacher, it was cool to hear stories about geocaching from the USA and all over the world. The podcast has kept me informed and entertained and influenced some of my biggest caching adventures. PodCacher suggested to new cachers to attend an event, so I did. And that is where I found my people. I can't thank you enough for encouraging me to take that first step. I also heard about some of the USA mega events on their show and decided I had to head over to join the fun. In 2016, Sunny and Sandy were calling on cachers to join them on a drive from Geo Woodstock in Denver out to Kansas to find Mingo. I just had to go. So I booked my tickets to stay with my Denver brother and attended my first international event. So cool to meet Sunny and Sandy from sunny San Diego and take young Sean for a play with my nephews while SNS manned the PodCacher stall. I joined the caravan out to Mingo, and we had a lot of fun finding a bunch of very cool old caches that day. I met up with Sunny and Sandy again in Georgia in 2019 as I had to attend a going caching event after listening to them talk about it on the podcast. We had a blast at the event, solving the puzzles and finding the caches, and we also chartered a boat on Lake Lanier and found the very old August 2000 cache and had the best time getting a first to find on a 5-5 puzzle cache out on the lake. Such a fun day and so cool to attend going caching. It really was an amazing event to attend. Time goes on, and after hearing Sunny talk about San Diego for years, I decided I had to visit. So we headed to San Diego in 2022, and Sandy and Sunny took us on a city tour. We had a great day exploring Coronado, Balboa Park, and lots of other places we'd heard about on the podcast. San Diego was so interesting, and I wish we had more time to spend there. I have been a PodCacher Club member for years, and I'm happy to support this iconic show. Their podcast is a great testament to how geocaching is more than just finding containers. It's about the people, the places, and the adventures along the way. If you ever get a chance to meet Team PodCacher, do it. You will not be disappointed, as it is not just PodCacher listeners that are intelligent, creative, friendly, and good-looking. Team PodCacher has been this and so much more for the geocaching community for 900 shows. Crikey, that is an amazing amount of quality content week after week. Congratulations, and thank you for all the geocaching goodness you have shared with us and for being such a great ambassadors for our wonderful hobby. And again, that's Kitty Cash from Canberra, Australia. And thank you so much for your kind words.
Well, as we mentioned, we celebrated our 900 shows event with a CCE, or Community Celebration event, on Vacation Island in Mission Bay on Saturday. Now, after having rain all week and hail, actually,
yes.
I can show you a picture where we got hail
at our house
here in San Diego. We had a beautiful sunny day on the event, and although a little bit breezy and cool, we had about 40 attendees, and we had such a great time.
And, one thing we created were some activities. Ahead of time, I worked out a word search and a crossword puzzle.
Those are cool.
And they were all with geocaching and PodCacher-related words. And we told them for each page completed, you could get another raffle ticket for our prize drawings.
Just by showing up, you got a raffle ticket. And then you got an extra one for completing one of these things. Yeah.
And people really seemed to enjoy them. And, it was a great icebreaker as well, because people got to know each other, because not everybody knew each other. Some people were from farther up north and not San Diego. And they got to know each other and helped each other with the answers.
What was funny was one guy, we walked behind and people were working on it. One guy was sharing the answers with somebody else. And and then he realized, he's like, oh, I got caught. And we don't care.
No.
It
wasn't cheating. We wanted them to interact. And
But there's a lot of online makers that you can find. Maybe you can give the links to the ones that we eventually used.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy, because basically you put in either the words you want in the word search.
Just a word list, yeah.
Yeah.
For the crossword, you have to have the words and your definitions.
And the hint, right? But it puts it together for you, and it even gives you a page where it shows you the solution.
Right.
for the word search, so where the words are. It's pretty clever, actually, yeah.
It is, and it's a great idea that you can use at your geocaching event. You know, we talked about we could do this again and just have a different set of words. You know? And it wouldn't have to always be geocaching related. It could be whatever you want.
I used to use these in the classroom all the time. I mean, it was an easy way, like a simple activity, just sort of a fun thing to do.
You could do words related to like your city or your country or wherever you're at.
Yeah.
We also gave out extra raffle tickets for recording an intro or sharing a story.
Yeah.
And we have several stories that we'll share with you in upcoming shows. But today we have an interesting story from a San Diego geocacher who was recently able to visit her geocaching namesake in a faraway country. Let's take a listen.
So, yeah, I just got back from Antarctica, which was amazing. Wow. If you have never been, you've got to go. Wow. And it's been on my bucket list since I was a teenager. But what makes it really cool is my caching name is Penguin Lady.
Penguin Lady.
We saw hundreds of thousands of penguins.
Wow.
And that, of course, was the main reason why I was going. But first thing I did as soon as I found out that we were going is I went to the app to see if there were any geocaches. I didn't know if there would be because it's such a unique place, and having some traditional caches especially would probably be hard. And I had no idea where I was going to be going because I was not in control of where we were going. And so I let the folks know on the ship immediately what my goal was. And they did take us to Deception Island, which is a dormant volcano. Sorry, I think it's actually an active volcano. But it's the last time it erupted was in 1969, 1970, something like that. So we come in and it's a crater. Deception Island, Half Moon Bay, I think is the name of it. We come in and on the shore, it's all lava rock. So it was an earth cache, is what it was. And you had to look at the geology. And as we came in, you could see the steam coming up and the smell of the sulfur. Wow. But when we actually landed on land, there was a welcoming party of 2 chinstrap penguins just waiting for me. So I got to see penguins. And I got to check off Antarctica on my list.
Wow. So I got to ask you, because I don't know a lot of people. I know a few that have gone to Antarctica. But how long did it take for you to plan this, like before you actually took off?
Well, active planning was 13 months. But this has been a seed in my head since I was 15. Wow. So decades. But we went with National Geographic. It was an exploratory type of ship. My friend was asking, hey, where's all the entertainment? Because they go on cruises with shows totally and such. But we had National Geographic, naturalists there, photographers teaching classes. Wow. It was pretty amazing. Small ship. There was about 140 passengers on it, maybe. And we did lots of excursions. So we got all of the smells, the sights, the sounds.
Now, when you went off the ship and you got closer to these lava rocks, were you actually able to step foot on land? And how did you get there? Was it like on a smaller dinghy, a boat or something?
Yeah, so the ship came into the bay, and then we got into Zodiacs. And they shuttled us to shore. And there's a British museum there now. It was a whaling station, so the big vats that they had boiled the whale parts down into the oil, and
that was still there.
That's still there, rusting away. It's now a historic landmark, and it's under the British care.
Wow. And how long was your total cruise, from start to finish?
The cruise itself was that's a good question, because we got delayed going there, and then we got stuck coming back, and so there were some extra days and it was all a blur. But from the time I left San Diego, the time I got back was a little over 2.5 weeks.
Nice. That's a good enough time to kind of get your time in, without having to rush and whatnot. And how many, was there more than one kind of penguin species besides the chinstraps? What else did you see, Penguin Lady?
So we saw chin straps and gentoos mostly in Antarctica on the peninsula. It was breeding season, so they were nesting. We saw eggs, we saw chicks, we saw these little fluffy guys that are waiting for their parents because they had grown so much that both parents had to go out to sea to feed to bring food back. We saw some of the eggs were duds, so predators like skuas were coming and stealing eggs, and just all the mayhem that was going on in the colony was amazing.
Yeah, wildlife in nature just happening right there. And you said something that the rest of us, even if we see videos or pictures or hear stories, we can't experience, and that was the smell of sulfur from the volcanic area. But also, I have to ask, do penguin rookeries smell like the other fowl that I've smelt?
Is the sky blue? Yes, absolutely. They eat a lot of fish, and so ammonia is a byproduct of that. And if they're all sitting on eggs for a month, 2 months,
not moving,
then it's going to accumulate. And depending on the weather conditions, some of the colonies we could barely smell. Like if we were right next to them, you could smell them. But our last day was the coldest day. It was windy, it was snowing, and as soon as we opened the door in our cabin, you could smell the penguins on the ship, and they were off on land.
Well, again, that's one experience that you have in your memory now that the rest of us, well, I guess if you went to the zoo, or something like that, it might replicate it somewhat. There
were hundreds of thousands of penguins.
Wow.
They were so tightly packed. They're very, very social, and I was in tears.
I could imagine. Now, why did you choose the name Penguin Lady so long ago?
So when I was 15, I was a Girl Scout, and I went on a trip. I lived on a farm in Ohio, and I went to SeaWorld in Ohio. And every day we learned about a different group of animals. The last day I met a penguin, and I fell in love, and I said, this is it.
That's it. That's my name. So when geocaching came around, there was not even a choice.
Correct.
All right. Well, thanks for that story. Again, great to be able to chat with somebody who's actually out there. If you can send us some pictures, we can share them on the show so other people can also go check out some of your experience out there in Antarctica. Thanks so much.
You're so welcome.
So back at the Yuma event, we chatted with Mike Carey, who actually was going to try to fly out for our event.
Right.
I think from Utah, but had an issue with the airlines changing his flight, so he wasn't able to come. But he had shared with us that he had hidden several geocaches over the years that tied directly back to something he learned or heard about on PodCacher.
Yeah.
And he shared a couple of those caches with us. Cache, and we'll put the links on the show notes. You can check them out. Cache Impossible and I Love Geocaching have both been archived. But the third one was called Link-A-Pix Puzzle Cache. And he says in the cache description that he heard about Link-A-Pix puzzles on an episode of PodCacher, episode 275.
Wow. Okay.
That's a long time ago. And to be honest, I don't even remember what those puzzles are without taking a look at it. But it's so cool that people hear about or they learn something new on the show, and then they take that and they use it in their geocaching experience.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, even if you were to get in at a gathering of 30 geocachers at a pizza parlor, right? Mm-hmm. And if you were able to chat with people, you're bound to hear something, learn something, or maybe share something that somebody else doesn't know about.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I had no idea, X, Y, and Z. But we have a global reach. Mm-hmm. So the fact that people share stuff with us and we go, whoa, that's cool. And then we share it with you guys, listeners. Mm-hmm. It's not surprising that we all learn something from this. We're all, all of us are smarter than any one of us. Right. And, that's one of the beautiful things about this show. Speaking of the beauty of this show, some of you heard the story, so we're going to go through some of this pretty quickly. And, by the way, we were recently interviewed on the Geocache Talk Network, and we'll put a link on that so you can go check it out. Now, there's a YouTube video that we'll have to link to.
If you don't watch it live, then you can watch the YouTube video.
Yeah. But, 900 shows ago, PodCacher started as a simple hobby. In 2005, I heard about podcasting and thought, hey, let's give this a go. And so sitting on our couch and passing a microphone back and forth, that's where it all started. Podcasting was new, and it started because I'm a geek, and I wanted to try it out. Sandy had the idea, why don't we do it about geocaching? And one thing led to another.
And, when we started, I thought maybe we'll do this for 6 months or something.
Yeah, just for fun.
Never thought 20 years later.
I know.
But eventually we thought we could grow it into a side business. And let's be honest, it's hard work.
It is.
Lots of persistence and commitment. Not going to get rich on it. And actually, we barely cover expenses.
Very true.
There are technical operating expenses, and we put a lot right back into the show in the form of prizes, gifts, incentives, mailing expenses, equipment, and it goes on and on.
Yeah. And you might already know this, but this show is 100% listener supported by only a small fraction of the total listeners. And to be honest, I wish we had more. We love what we do. Don't get us wrong. We love geocaching, but there are times when, life gets really busy and it can be a grind. And that's exactly what we do. We grind it out. Hopefully another value-packed show that's worth listening to. Still, it's all been worth it, and that's how we somehow got to 900 shows.
And our focus for all these years has always been to provide value to the worldwide geocaching community by our family-friendly show and website.
Yep. And because of the podcast being our geocaching jobs anyway, per se.
Our side jobs.
Yeah. I'd say there are two words that best describe our experiences over the last 20 years. And so we thought we'd share that with you. Access and opportunities. Now, in order to bring you guys the best content, we've been really blessed to have access to people and places and experiences that most of you simply would not have. I remember when I'm a photographer and I've been hired many times to do weddings. Mm-hmm. And I remember my experience of being like behind the scenes. I'm talking before the wedding and reception. They would often want me to get pictures of the groom getting ready or the bride getting ready. And I remember it was only family, like close family that were in those areas as they were getting prepped to actually do the wedding. Well, I remember so many times I was just like, whoa, I'm the only person here who's not close family. I remember at one time they had a special announcement and the relatives found out, this information and nobody else even I was like, whoa, this is really special. And that's what it feels like sometimes being a podcaster. We don't mean to brag. It's just how it is. We get the opportunity to have like extended talks with certain people that we otherwise wouldn't. If we weren't creating this podcast for you, we can't just walk up to Brian Ross from Geocaching HQ at an event and try to talk to him. There simply wouldn't be any way if we weren't making a podcast. Brian's a nice guy, but he's also busy. And he simply wouldn't have the time to sit down with every person that wanted to meet him and spend 45 minutes talking about, the behind-the-scenes topics from HQ all day long.
And because of the relationships we've established over the years, we get to do just that. Talk to some of the most interesting geocaching people.
So true.
From all over the world, and oftentimes with behind-the-scenes access. Yeah. And here are just a few of the examples that we've done and mentioned over the years. Classic one was Dave Ulmer, the person who hid the very first cache, getting to chat with him.
Yep.
There was also Dan, the geocaching sword swallower, of all things.
True story.
And Brian, who survived the solo summit of Mount Everest.
Yeah. How many times you get to talk to somebody who's soloed Mount Everest?
Right.
We talked to other podcasters like Land Monkey, who went to Antarctica. Mm-hmm. Six Wolves, also known as the blue switch thrower guy.
Yep, the guy in the room who did the blue switch throwing.
Numerous people at Geocaching HQ. There are too many volunteer reviewers. Just so many people that we've and we're bound to miss some of the people that we've talked to just because there's so many. Yeah.
A guy named Rope in the Wind who did the hot air balloon caching.
That was cool.
Of course, Jim and Andy from Going Caching many times, and so many like them have become genuine friends.
Yeah.
Gadget cache builders like WV Tim, Tricassius.
We talk about access. We were able to see their behind the scenes workshops. And most people that are visiting are never going to see that.
And share it with you guys.
And share it with you. We took pictures, we're sharing with you, but I mean, it's like Santa's workshop. You're walking around, oh, this is where all the magic happens,
Right.
That's such a cool experience.
Also, people who've accomplished amazing feats, like walking the Camino or the Appalachian or Pacific Crest Trails.
Yeah.
It's been great chatting over the years, too, with Keith at FTF Geocaching Magazine.
Yep.
Lisa at Cache Advance, and Mike at Path Tags.
Yeah. Now, over the years, we've also made lots of genuine geocaching friends, people we wouldn't have otherwise met. As you know, many people watch Sean grow from an infant to our nearly 17-year-old teenager now. And a lot of you guys out there are his geocaching aunts and uncles.
Yep.
We've had opportunities to visit wonderful places. Unlikely we would have gone there. One of our listeners, Stole, invited us out to Norway. That was a once-in-a-lifetime amazing experience. Doug and Julie invited us out to their home in Boston. That was an amazing experience. So many caching events. I've lost track. I honestly have. Sometimes I look back at either souvenirs we have or coins, and I'm like, oh, that's right. We went to Washington, D.C. that time. Just amazing experiences for us.
And so many friends we've made that we wouldn't have without geocaching, as many of you guys have experienced yourselves.
Yeah.
Making friends with Acrodoc, and then we stayed with his family in Alaska.
Yeah.
Alaska ER Doc.
Yeah.
We stayed with Ditto's mom up in San Jose when we were up there for the disc golf tournament.
That's true.
And many other places.
Yeah. And because of what we do, we've been invited to speak at events, give educational talks, and we love to meet our listeners. We really do. I mean, whether it's a huge geocaching event or them coming out to meet with us here in San Diego and have an In-N-Out burger with us. We just love it. People from Australia, Germany, Switzerland, Canada, the UK, Poland. There's probably lots I'm missing, but they've come from all over the world and have an In-N-Out burger with us.
And it really does all come down to you guys, our listeners.
It does.
Without listeners, there would be no PodCacher.
Nope.
So even though we've received a lot of thanks from you guys, we need to shout out a genuine and sincere thanks to you out there in geocaching land. Yeah. We get a lot of great contacts and info from you guys, which sometimes lead to topics that we end up covering in the show.
Very
we
often.
Really appreciate that.
So 900 shows and still going strong. And people have asked us before, what would you like people to know about PodCacher? Well, simply this. We're the longest running geocaching podcast in the world. Our weekly variety show is family friendly and comes out every single Monday. And we would like you to help spread the word about the geocaching goodness we bring you guys each and every week.
And the last thing is, please sign up to be a club member.
Yes.
Without these supporters, we probably would have had to stop doing the podcast around the 100 or 200 show mark.
Oh, yeah.
As we said, it's a lot of work to put together a quality show each week. As you can guess, the entire podcast and website production, it's just Sunny and me. Gathering topics, producing the show, recording and editing, scheduling interviews, researching topics, maintaining the website and show notes, upkeep of our RSS feed, and more.
Yep. Now, if you've been listening for a while and are on the fence, now would be a great time to sign up and support our efforts. As a club member, we will shower you with as many perks as we can afford. A members-only show each month, an exclusive club member path tag, and an additional annual collectible path tag. That's right, every single year, a brand new one. Access to a private Facebook group, club member-only prizes, discounts, and more if we can think of them. Maybe most of all, you get our sincere gratitude for thinking highly enough of our work to support the value we bring you.
So thank you for helping us support 900 shows.
Thank you.
We wouldn't be here without you,
Nope.
and we appreciate all you guys so much. And here's to more weekly geocaching goodness.
PodCacher Games and Contests.
Here at PodCacher, we love to play games and contests that gives you guys opportunities to win Groovalicious swag.
And again, we've started a new contest in keeping with the poetry theme on a recent show.
Yep.
We'd love for you to send in your favorite geocaching poem, and this won't be a judged contest. Just by sending in any kind of poem, you'll be entered into the drawing to win a prize. So get your creative juices flowing and send us your geocaching poems.
geocaching milestones.
Here at PodCacher, we love to celebrate milestones and achievements of geocachers from all around the world.
Well, we got a message called into the hotline, and it seemed very appropriate to play in the milestones section of the show. So here we go.
Hi, this is Merlin 1392 from Rockford, Michigan, and I'm here at GCB 29JC.
Congratulations, PodCachers!
On your 900th episode.
Hey, now that is a great milestone. Certainly worth celebrating. Let's go ahead and call in the PodCacher studio audience and let's celebrate with them. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. Again, it's been a true honor and privilege for us to be able to create 900 PodCacher shows for you guys. We're still going strong. Do us a big favor. Tell other people about the geocaching goodness we bring you each and every week, and they can join in on the PodCacher community. All right, guys, get out there. Find those caches. But stay safe and keep on caching. Bye.
Well, that's it for the show today. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to visit our website at PodCacher.com. You'll find our show notes, useful links, and tons of resources. We always love to hear from you. Our email is podcacher@gmail.com. You can also call the PodCacher hotline at 760-300-3633. Find out all the ways you can contact us at podcacher.com/contact. Till next time, stay safe and keep on caching.